one of the things that you can notice if you've been watching the DeSantis campaign just absolutely implode is that they're trying to figure out how to rally the conservative base. Because right now, there's no real conservative policy that people are interested in, right? They're not interested. They don't have like a really coherent plan for border security other than like building the wall, basically just continuing some Trump policies. They don't have anything that is actually going to help their base. The main thing that the conservative base wants right now is Donald Trump. That's it. It is entirely based on personality politics, which in turn leaves Ron DeSantis in a very odd position, because Ron DeSantis is a policy guy. He's all about implementing terrible conservative policy. Now, terrible for basically everybody, but popular amongst conservatives in his state. However, that's not flying. So he's been trying desperately to figure out what he can do to stay in the headlines. And maybe, just maybe, he has his fingers crossed. He's hoping that Donald Trump will somehow, in all of these indictments, be barred from becoming president. And in turn, he will be the runner-up. He will be the one that conservatives turn to if Donald Trump is out of the picture. That seems to be his plan right now. And so, in an effort to stay ahead of the pack, because people like Vivek Ramaswamy is closing in on his position, in an effort to stay relevant, Ron DeSantis has been pushing the idea, I kid you not, that the United States should start ordering drone strikes in Mexico. Ron DeSantis wants a bombing campaign against Mexico. And he's trying to frame it as, oh, we're not going to try and bomb the Mexican government. We're just going to be bombing, the Mexican drug cartels and migrants. Because he, in his conception of this plan, bombing the migrants who are trying to come to America is fair game because they are transporting the drugs for the cartels. Again, that's not true. That's just what he's saying to justify a ghoulish proposition to bomb Mexican civilians. Yes. Now, it's very interesting. Now, when I say this, we're going to, I'm just going to quote Ron DeSantis here. We're authorizing deadly force. They try to break into our country, they will end up stone cold dead. And again, he's echoing some rhetoric that we've seen from Donald Trump, Representative Dan Crenshaw, Mike Walsh, Senator Tom Cotton, and a few other high-profile political figures. This isn't like a standalone thing. He's just trying to like cop some of the media attention away from those other people. How? Mexico doesn't border Florida? Well, he's proposing it as part of his anti-immigration policy. And that is insane. And by the way, just the idea that we would bomb an allied nation would, just from a geopolitical perspective, if we had a bombing campaign in an allied nation on their soil of their civilians, that would literally ruin the United States' diplomatic relationships with every other country on Earth. Like, you think Canada wouldn't be watching that being like, oh shit, they're just an unprovoked war of aggression. Like, guys, you need to understand, bombing a foreign country is generally considered an act of war. What they are proposing would bring us into a war with Mexico. It's not a good idea at all. Can by the way, just to clarify this. Mexico signed a treaty in 1967 to give up its nuclear weapons arsenal. It has the ability to manufacture nuclear weapons, however, it does not currently do so. If we are to engage in a bombing campaign against Mexican civilians, do you know how quickly other countries that are not currently in possession of nuclear weapons are going to rev up their ability to produce them? Like, literally, it's like the only thing, if like someone like Ron DeSantis is in power, a nuclear weapon is like the only thing that's gonna give him pause, you know? Insane warmongering. And again, keep in mind, the conservative movement has tried to position itself as the anti-war party at the moment. They've been going, oh, Donald Trump pulled us out of so many wars, literally proposing bombing a foreign country in an act of war that would start a war. There is no way around bombing another country's civilians that does not end in some kind of conflict. Hey, Beaked Raymond Zeta, thank you very much for the raid. By the way, in case any of you are like, oh, well, maybe the Mexican government would be like super chill with it. You know, the cartels are a big problem for the Mexican government as well. It turns out, no, actually. President Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador said recently at a press conference, I'm just going to quote it, "We won't allow it. And not only are we not going to allow it, we're denouncing it." Even a single direct drone attack would be very likely to provoke a direct confrontation with the Mexican military. Tina 2, thank you so much for the raid, for the sub. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Yeah, basically the Mexican government's like, if you try and bomb us, we're going to fight you. We are going to fight you. Also, fighting Mexico is not a good idea. It's not going to end well for anybody. Bit of a side question. I figured that more information would come out about the allegations toward DeSantis torturing people in Guantanamo around election times. Now that he is not really a threat to the election, do you think the Democrats will push more on that? I'm really hoping people don't allow that to be swept under the rug. I mean, I as far as I'm concerned, like, as far as I know, everything's out there already. Like, yeah, he definitely tortured people. He definitely oversaw torture at Guantanamo. Literally, one of the guys he tortured, like, pointed him out and was like, that's the guy. That's the guy who tortured me until I threw up in his face. Like, yeah, that is the... yes, he did that.